You've heard me talk about portals, and perhaps you wondered what they are. To folk who haven't encountered them before, they probably sound a bit sci-fi. But in FileMaker, portals have a very down-to-earth and practical use. In this lesson, I'm going to show you what a portal does. I'm using a copy of the work file here, in which I've added a 16th record to the publications table. Previously, we had 15 books entered, each of them written by a different author. But the record I've added, down at the bottom of the list, is for another book by Jane Austen. So now the table has 2 books that were written by the same author. When I perform a find for books by Jane Austen, you can see that I've entered the same author ID for both books, and also the same publisher ID. So what happens if I go to the author's layout and add a field from the publications table there? Remember that the author's table, here in the relationships graph, and the publications table are connected via these lines that join through the author publication join table. Let's try adding a publications field to the author's layout and see what happens. Here in layout mode, I'll simply drag from the field tool on the status toolbar down into the body of the author's layout and choose the publications table occurrence as the source for a field. And I'll put the title field from the publications table onto the layout. Just make the field box a little wider so we can see its content. Now I'll return to browse mode so we can have a look at the effect of this. So I'm on the record for Jane Austen, and the title field from the publications table is showing me Emma, the first book in the publications table by Jane Austen. That's good, but it's not a complete representation of what we know is there, because as you saw, there are currently 2 books by Jane Austen over in the publication table, but we're only seeing the first. You can think of it as if there were a queue of books by Jane Austen in the publications table, but the field I've added to the layout based on the author's table occurrence is only showing the first item in the queue. That's where portals come in. If I use the portal tool to add a portal to the author's layout, it will let us see a list of any or all the related records over in the publications table. So rather than having a field added directly to the layout as I've done here, I'm going to delete this copy of the field and use the portal tool to place a portal into the layout instead. First I'll select the field and its field label and press the delete key on the keyboard to remove them. Now I'll choose the portal tool in the status toolbar and I'll drag a rectangle across an area of the layout. When I release the mouse button, the portal setup dialog appears, allowing me to choose a table occurrence from which to show related records. I'll choose the publications table, and I'll also select the option to show a vertical scroll bar on the portal, and I'll click the OK button. Immediately, FileMaker prompts me to select some fields to add to the portal. I'll choose the title field from the publications table, the year field, and perhaps I'll choose a table occurrence further afield, the publisher's table, and select the publisher name field and click OK. Now before I proceed, I'm going to make the year field a little smaller because the year doesn't take up much space, and I'll enlarge the title field. And now I'll return to browse mode so we can have a look at the result. As you can see, both the publication table records, which have books written by Jane Austen, are appearing in the portal. And if I scroll to other records in the table, you can see that the publications for those other authors are also listed in the portal. And in fact, if there were more publications for a given author than there are rows in the portal, then the portal scroll bars would become active and allow us to scroll up and down and view all of the related entries. So a portal allows you to add a list of related records to a layout. In this case, the portal I've added to the author's layout is showing us a list of all the records in the publications table that are related to the current author record.